Thank you for staying, and Louis for inviting me and trusting me with a mic.
That's a cute onesie.
It's the theme here is Imperial Gasian, I think. I got a little housekeeping. I just want to thank my Patreon patrons, and especially my benefactor Patreon patrons, Levi Brzezinski, Shane Lucas, Diane Stapling. Your support helps take care of the business part of being a writer. So thank you to those folks. I recently heard on this podcast, I think it was a podcast, maybe it was actually in real life, a New Orleans artist talking about how in every other city in the US, it's always kind of like a rat race to get recognition. But in New Orleans, artists seem to be more concerned with creating a culture of creativity for everyone. That's certainly been the experience, or my experience, of the literary scene here in New Orleans. And it's tremendous, and I hope we remain committed to cultivating that culture. And above that, I'm committed to amplifying queer, Black, Indigenous, people of color poets that you may not know of. So before I read my own poetry, I'd like to read a piece of a queer BIPOC poet named Chen Chen. And the piece is called Please Take Off Your Shoes Before Entering, Do Not Disturb. But before I do that, I just want to say, lastly, I've got 2 copies of my book for sale. Or you can buy it at rebelsatoripress.com, or just come see me after. So first off, Chen Chen's Please take off your shoes before entering. Do not disturb the little strangers upon entering. The quiet, the shh, the please follow the signs. Walk. Do not run. Do not fall down or in love. Be respectful of the others in the space. Do not offer them food or drink, especially French fries, or any tokens of deep affection. Everyone is trying their best. Please remain calm. You may experience some turbulence, flatulence, a touch of total nauseating love. That is normal. But keep it under control. Look, the head librarian has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. Please return to your desk and duck and fasten and calm and shh and do not and starboard and roger that and no fries and do not claw the walls saying you love PBS. The other passengers are trying their best to buy tomato soup, to sell their boots, to wear the socks their mothers always buy for them. Do not disturb them. Do, however, report any suspicious weathers. Crouch to sniff out large, unattended clouds. If you smell something, say something. Say, nice socks, nice boots, nice tomato soup, and the clouds will vanish. Do not say, LeVar Burton is my lover, and Mr. Rogers, my dearest friend. Quick, LeVar Rogers, let us find what we need in this great country of burning. All right, who's been to Seattle? Make some noise.
I was just there last week.
One time, all right. Seattle, okay, I used to live in Seattle. That's why I live here now. It's the best thing about Seattle is this thing called the Salon of Shame, where readers are invited to read from their journals when they were younger, like 15 years old and shit, and it's incredibly funny. It's an ab workout. It's incredibly embarrassing. So this is kind of my version of that. What I'm going to do is read out, and by applause, I'm going to read out the titles of 4 poems that I wrote when I was in high school. All right? And I'm going to read out the titles, and by applause, you're going to decide which incredibly embarrassing poem I'm going to read. Okay? So I'm just going to tell you the titles, and then we'll do the choose my own disaster. Okay. The first title is Submission, Daydreamer, Mindful Resistance, and To the 5-Minute Friend. Okay? So by applause, who wants to hear Submission? All right. Daydreamer. Okay. Mindful Resistance. Sounds so pretentious, doesn't it? And To the 5-Minute Friend. Oh, I think Submission won it. Do you want to
both?
I'm gonna go with Submission because I think that was the loudest one. It's all bad for me. All right. Submission. I wrote this in high school, so forgive me. The moment you stood before my wary vision, I, like a mirror, quivered at your unfathomable beauty. It must have been the way the pristine skin inspired obscured light to find solace upon your silken hide. Or perhaps the way those crystalline eyes melted my armor and ruthlessly bled my floored heart. You, with your delicate lips, delved unhindered into my scribbled mind and drank its contents. Could you feel my dreams? Did you hear my life? You who are all the rains I have longed for during the 12-month of aridity. My God, it's like a thesaurus. Depleted my torment. And as I tasted your voice, I willingly became your victim. Oh God, it's like a vampire novel. It's awful. But the lesson there is that we all start somewhere, rotted and everything. All right. So, we've had a really shitty past 3 days. Who's done a MFA in creative writing here? Anyone? All right. No one.
Michael has.
Okay, so we're gonna do this. There's this this odd thing if you do MFA in poetry, and not all MFAs, but there's like this poetry is like antithetical to profanity. So this piece is called Writing Workshop, and I'm kind of like taking anything that's poetry or poem. These are lines that actually like my writing workshop professor would say, and replace poem with fuck you. And I think it's just like, that's the energy that we're experiencing right now in our current moment. Please bring in a sufficient number of fuck yous stapled and collated. Write a fuck you that communicates something real, a time-honored fuck you. The poems need to have some fuck you and some anti-fuck you. You need something to keep the fuck you honest. Rhetoric, ice cream, Diet Coke, insult. If you write a poem with 4 fuck yous per line, that will be your driving force. In this collection of fuck yous, I wanted to bring this to your attention. How do we judge these fuck yous? This illustrates how a fuck you can be less than a page. Is this really as good as a Cantonese or bilingual Afro-Creole fuck you? It would be hard to make a fuck you and not be included in its universal application. It's obviously in the plain fuck you tradition. He was associated with the fuck you movement. He was part of the San Francisco fuck you school. Would this be in the best American fuck yous of 2022? I thought this was a quiet yet defiant fuck you, queer as fuck you. We're here to recalibrate the senses to discern a trace of a fuck you, even in prose. Next week, new fuck yous. We live in New Orleans. Our reality is hurricanes. I actually wasn't here for Katrina, but I was recently part of the New Orleans Poetry Festival, and hearing a lot of writers write about it was very inspiring, oddly. This is called, I guess this is my Katrina poem. This is called If Tradition Applies. I wonder if there will ever again be a child named Katrina here beside this crescent of the Mississippi, or in the hurled out diaspora, that scarlet name uttered, I've noticed, over 15 years on, once per conversation. Chinese names are often characteristics or destinies our parents hope for us, like beautiful, peace, fortune, heaven. If that tradition applies, who could call their newborn that which means sledgehammer of water, levees leveled like baby teeth? That euphemism for both decomposed auntie interred in attic and open air tomb. Synonym of a wound, then scab, unobligated to reveal its healing beneath. A burr of generational memory that we were never, only once, a flood. All right, so when I was deciding, only an hour and a half ago or so, 2 hours, I decided the poems I was going to read, and so I started to search for like my gayest shit. So, I guess I could read gay shit by myself, but it's fun to be gay with other people, so I'm going to be reading a poem called Flirting with Jorge. Jorge, are you still here?
You went that way. He's coming back.
Okay, well, maybe we won't be reading with him. At least not now. So we'll move on.
He'll come back eventually.
Eventually. That's fine. That's cool. Let's go with Hookup App. If I were actually headless, just torso and below, rendered in pixels as chiseled and convincing by bathroom light, maybe the onlookers would let the porno unfold, genuflecting themselves between my knees, tongues tasting the host, my ass the cathedral they crave entrance, and like heaven depended on it, pretend that upon the tap, this face avowed, the hard-ons don't die at the wink of an almond eye. And we're here. So we're going to read a poem called Flirting. All right. that your hand on my thigh?
Does it look like I lie?
Like the lush of my lips?
Meant to steal a few sips.
What to do with the skin?
Depends on the sin.
Want to heat these bare hands?
So that was your plan.
Could you read from my eyes?
No, could tell by your thighs.
Make my thoughts flush all red.
Time to rattle the bed.
Would you worship this ass?
The I didn't pass.
Place your breath on my neck?
Would it make you erect?
Prefer a tongue down on there.
Don't like to play fair.
Dare to cheat on the tits?
Only if you throw fits.
But now I don't care.
And why do you stare?
Something stuck on your face.
Could be you in its place.
Think you'll win with those words?
You still haven't heard?
Such a big, cocky mouth.
And it will go south.
I laugh at your pride.
The urge you can't hide.
To rake down your back?
For the sensuous snack.
And if my mouth should run dry?
Quench you I try.
How kind to squelch this thirst?
Would I be your first?
Oh, but you would like it to be.
On my knees I would plead.
But you found me too late.
And this I do hate.
Now I'm caught by your charm.
Like this touch on your arm.
So soft I would knit.
A sign that we fit.
Unless we start up a fight.
Or wrestle tonight.
Let's give it a chance.
Let's end this coy dance.
I know what you want.
Then hush your cruel taunts.
Let's toast with some rum.
I'd rather just come.
First purr like a cat.
Then let's start with that.
42. Thank you, Jorge.
Welcome.
Let's say moon gazing was a pretext. Let's say the stroll was theater. Let's say there was already blood between the legs. Let's say we brought no birthday candles. Let's say hand tread happy trail. Let's say gym short waistbands. Let's say the incline was the kneeler. Let's say thank goodness for grass. Let's say we had no birthday cake. Let's say Chris was sweet and Matt savory. Let's say leaves did not glove the seed. Let's say I needed no birthday candles. Let's say maybe not a wish, but something came true. Queen. I was groomed to want headless white bodies in discount department stores' men's underwear aisles. Long before the world's imagination got between Marky Mark and his Calvins, an off-brand athletic thong modeled in grayscale dilated these eyes. Was it a blur or all that hip meets upper thigh, the great plains of pelvis for public view? For a boy during his early chunky years, would I one day swell and cast such a chest? Could I too fill the pouch to breathlessness? For a boy with no allowance, how did I end up deflated in a red pair of my own, looking nothing like my lust, that chessboard display of the decapitated, sunned to harvested wheat? Yesteryear's is today's is tomorrow's window shopping. Hookup app on any street, alley, or aisle. Only white guys seem to get away with parading out their cum gutters and their squares of touchscreen. Same game, different board. Like a queen, I slide in all directions in conquest, even over those pale pawns erased above the chin. I swear, need to be more. Useful taxonomies. It's a list poem. Chaos stirs, quarter flippers, order hoarders, regret mongers, messianic hustlers, food pornographers, crawfish head suckers, fanatics of the deviled egg, enemies of bread, hot sauce hardliners, salt in that pepper like Reed Richards, fire crotch collectors, the type that grinds their own masala, the type that blends her own fade, the type that mends his own holes, home picklers, ticklish butches, savage, ravaged, salvaged, vintage, women who drink it neat, mama's boys, daddy's boys, the anti-boys club, boys who wore husky pants, one-night stands, two-night standouts, Mary Magdalene stands, Médecins Sans Frontières, zodiac signs that end in O, those forlorn for New Orleans, those dancing on their own, those with them carved cum gutters, them guys with a vocal fry, DNA tested 100% that bitch, perils, labejas, extravaganzas, house mothers, unrelated aunties and uncles, terrestrial archangels, presidents of the United Hates, apologists of occupation, account holders at the banks of exile, the ones who stayed, who aren't the same as the ones who wouldn't go, the ones you thought you'd never get over, the ones who came to bear their heart beating, the one who never arrived to hear this heart beat. All right, I'm just going to read a few more poems from my book, Anatomy of Want. It makes for a nice coffee table book because it's a very suggestive cover. So even if you don't like my poetry, it's nice decoration. We'll read In the Dark. In the Dark is a Persian form. It's called a ghazal, and I think when you hear it, you'll catch kind of what it's all about. Not just mine, but your intentions stain in the dark. Rechristened temptation gathers like rain in the dark. By what regime of lotion, genes, or God are such soft slopes justified in being vain in the dark? Smash the dinner plates for this extinguished distance. I'll pour the shots, darling, to drain in the dark. The clothes measure a man, says who, when patterns from paisleys to pinstripes are all plain in the dark. Oh, blameless boy, of the bare way we failed you, you were, with no wind, a weather vane in the dark. Wherever God's hiding the cure for your death sentence, for you, I'm overturning every grain in the dark. When all else is hijacked, I'll leave you the hymn. The ear never loses the refrain in the dark. Is the dark pitiless to prolong the punishment? Reliving your whisper is worth the pain in the dark. Before caving in to lips pursed into an apology, give me a chance to at least complain in the dark. Silence, be warned, is a consummate politician, an ally in light, bane in the dark. A toast to ignorance for prolonging bliss, why sober a thrill if we remain in the dark? I fall into fantasy. How do I know? You're saying this word, yours, Daniel. Could you explain in the dark? I'm not gonna last on this stage very long. It's like there's a AC blowing me. I'm fucking shivering up here. All right. Two more poems. This one's called Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. After the mats have been glazed with Clorox like a pastry, the delayed giggle escaped my throat long after you'd said, "It's only gay if we look into each other's eyes." We'd been training for several months, building my vocabulary of chokes, holds, passes, crushes, each one a more nuanced entanglement of sweat, limbs, and defiance. Demos necessitating bare torsos be pasted together like a Martha Stewart craft project maintained an air of instruction, if not the mask of something more. A nifty surprise this body has been, no? With its limber and sleepy strength. A yoga supple shoulder, nimble capoeira legs, enlist those extra steps required to hear the taps that signify a submission. The first time I had you in the electric chair or the rack was kind of badass, you'd have to admit, I being such a novice. If you hadn't noticed though, rumbling is perfect for control queens. Yeah, I'm calling you a queen. But not because it's some test of will, triumph or another. Instead, the way we atone, finding the fun in being at each other's mercy. All right, my last one for tonight is called Making Dinner. Fingers untucked, mint leaves rolled into a stubby cigar. Your blade pensively sliced a chiffonade, sprinkled over last night's tagine, and a smile weeks later. It will take practice, one or both of us said, wondered, the cutting or the craving. Thank you.